formal recording, although the Beacon GIS shows partial boundaries that are different than what he's proposing.
That's wrong, I mean, that's good.
Well, I think we could
Marshall
have got
County, a
that.
minimum lot width
Really bumped up.
is 210 feet, and these lots are
Well,
right at 200.
now you
And I'm
avoid
looking at
it.
thinking, well, no, wait,
You know, I don't go to Menards
why do you
just
have a
because it's
minimum?
silly.
I mean, you go now or another hour, and you go later at night. You never go after work.
Enough to create
Crazy
two
that
lots.
This town is turning into
So I'm interested to hear
the city south of us that is
why
so bad.
the planning commission.
Kokomo.
We're looking like Kokomo. I
Seemed
mean,
like an odd number.
actually, I can turn at Center Street or I
It may
can go
have to do with, it
down
needs to be an
to Du
acre.
Bois. And I am,
Yeah,
I'm
could
in
be
the
a septic system
left-hand
on it, so they
lane
want a
looking
215
at
by
30
215.
before I make a final call, because
But it's just interesting, I'll get to go and they'll understand that
sitting there waiting to
there
turn
are
left, just to
rules
get
sitting there
between
minimum.
Center
Somebody
Street.
needs to formally waive.
Jeremy, when did you say
So
Anchorage
the
Road was
215 by
scheduled
215, that
to,
equals an acre?
It'd be pretty close.
It really
It'd
is,
be pretty
would
close
be
to it.
July.
Acres 43,560,
Latest.
240,000, so it's just something like that.
2022, somewhere, that's the window we have to.
I just,
well, it's gonna be a lot
I
worse.
don't really care. Other than that,
Well, I'm
I don't
guessing
see
this is
how
gonna be a
we have-
pretty short
The
meeting.
one issue is if somebody wants to put another house, there were two
We don't have a
homes.
city attorney, I'm
They
starting to
tore this
feel
home
no
down
vice
because they
president,
couldn't
no
get it sold.
city
It was
attorney, I'm up
original.
about
And this one's a,
You're in
this one's a
charge.
prefab style of home.
Evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Welcome to the August 13th, 2018 Warsaw Plan Commission meeting. Normally, I have a pretty steady guy next to me that approves the minutes. Has anyone else read the minutes?
You still do.
I do.
I
indeed.
read the minutes.
You do.
I have
I'm
no
so
corrections to
impressed.
the minutes. I believe they should stand as read.
And so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Outstanding, James. So we've got that done. All those in favor?
Aye.
They pass unanimously. Unfinished business? None. New business, 2018-0801 McKinley Street, Gatke property, preliminary and final replat. I assume we'll have to do that special motion tonight on that. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, the preliminary and final replat for lots 1 and 2 of the Gatke property has been submitted in a timely fashion and reviewed for its conformity to the subdivision control ordinance. The lots meet all of the development standards for a subdivision in an I3 zoning district. The replat divides a single lot into two lots, lot 1 being 1.99 acres and lot 2 being 1.21 acres. The primary purpose for the replat is to accommodate economic development while working within the EPA guidelines for brownfield remediation. The subdivision already has adequate access to utilities, ingress and egress from Durbin and McKinley Street. The proposed lots meet all the requirements for an I3 zoning district shown below. I recommend that you grant preliminary and final approval for the subdivision replat of the Gatke property, 2321 East Winona Ave.
Thank you, sir. Any comments, questions from the panel? Planning Commission? Okay, so we're going forward. With that, I believe we've got it, sir.
Just to make a little bit of comment, I know this was brought up with the redevelopment commission, and I wanted to give you a little bit of background on why we're doing, why the redevelopment commission is asking for the subdivision, since the redevelopment commission owns the property. The reason for that is we continue to work with the developer to try to redevelop the Gatke property. One of the things we had talked about at the redevelopment commission, and I believe the city council, was the city redevelopment commission acting as a potential grant for blight clearance money, which is funneled through Okra. And one of the stipulations for that blight clearance money, the funding mechanism, is that you can't redevelop property for 4 years after you were to get the grant, demo the building, so the property has to sit there unused for 4 years. As part of the development, or the developer we're working with to try to redevelop the Gatke site, there's a portion of the property they want to do something now with, and a portion of the property that needs to be demoed and probably be done later down the road. For that reason, it wouldn't make any sense to get the grant for the whole property and demo some buildings and then not be able to do anything for 4 years. So purpose of the subdivision in and of itself is eventually the property will be recombined into one parcel as they develop it over time. But in the short term, it would be to subdivide it so that we could potentially go after grant money for the demolition of those buildings that won't be utilized and still be able to rehab the buildings that they want to reutilize. So that's kind of the point of the subdivision. You'll see the back half of that property being subdivided off. Those areas are going to be sought for demolition, so those buildings would be demolished and wouldn't be rehabilitated. The front portion of the property, which the building is what I call the warehouse building. It's an old steel structure, but the structure itself is still usable, so they will try to rehabilitate that building using that existing steel structure. So the point of this subdivision, more or less, is to give us some flexibility to go after some grant money so that we can continue to rehab a portion of the property while we would demo another portion. And then at some point in time, the property would be brought back together as one piece after that time frame lapsed on those potential grant funds. Obviously, we haven't got the grant funds, but we intend to seek those grant funds, so we're preparing to deal with those stipulations if we were awarded grant funds in the future.
Thank you for the comments. Any questions for Jeremy? Thank you. As there is no one from the public here, we can move right along. I believe we've got to split these as there's no attorney here. I think that's the formality. We need to go and vote for and have a motion for the preliminary, and then we do a second motion but we have to adjust the rules. Who would like to start?
I'll make a motion we approve 2018-0801 McKinley Street, Gatley property.
I'll second.
Motion seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So we go for the second motion.
Yeah, I move that we
Amend the rules.
amend the rules to go directly to the final approval for this.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
That carries. We now need a motion for the final plot.
So moved.
So move that we go for the
Second.
final plot, seconded by Jim. All those in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. Anything else? All right, with that, I believe that covers the new business, other matters that may be coming before the board. Jeremy?
I talked a little bit to the BZA the last time around. Obviously, we've hired a new planner, Ariel, and she's going to be taking over the BZA at some point in the future as she's trained and as we get her through a couple of meetings. In the meantime, Justin is going to eventually move into the Plan Commission and take over the Plan Commission role, which will leave me to be a little bit more focused on all the redevelopment stuff and the TIF districts that we have going on. So Justin from now on is going to be coming to the Plan Commission meetings, and hopefully over the next couple of months he'll transition into that role, and you'll be hearing and seeing a lot more of him.
Are you going to squirrel out on us then?
No. We have plenty of redevelopments. If you've ever been to a redevelopment commission meeting, you'll certainly see all the projects and things that we have going on.
As far as Plan Commission meetings, Chairman?
What's that?
As far as these?
I won't be here as often. I'll still try to be here when we're doing ordinances and large projects and things like that. I'll certainly come, but for the most part, Justin will take over this board moving forward in the future.
I'd like to thank you for your service to us. It's been wonderful working with you, and we will continue to work together.
Yeah, well, I'll still be here. I'll still be hiding in the background.
But you've got a great team, and of course, Justin has done a wonderful job so far, and the new person looks like she's going to just step in very well indeed. Ariel has got it on the ball.
She's full of energy, so we're excited
Should be fun.
to move forward and see what's to come.
Thank you again, Jim.
Yep.
We only have one item left. That's called the adjournment. Motion?
So moved.
Seconded?
Second.
Second? We got three of those.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We stand in adjournment. Thank you.
Actually, it's Kim that's the glue that's holding us.
Is that what it is?
No kidding. No kidding.
Yeah, that's probably an excellent point.
It is, yeah. I told the secretary today at the school, I said, I know who really runs this place. Yeah.
Always find the secretary, when you need something, when you know something.
Yeah, you know, you
I,
never believe that.
don't, but I do have a meeting with the
Secretary.
I was, yeah, and they're on vacation.
Kim, you want me to push this button?
Yes. Yes. Oh, yeah.